Okay, actually, this is a little bit better view, better arranged. This is the camcorder top left, the life cam back in its above the table position, up and hanging on the track lighting, and I think that's the best focus I can get out of that position. It would seem. I don't understand it. Maybe it's because of the type of image that it is, as opposed to a person. I don't know. And then the droid cam bottom left, as you can see, is of course excellent. And then this so-called full HD cam is what I'm looking at now. And that we've hooked it back up to this little profile or portrait of me, the person speaking, or we can use the camera for other purposes. So again, the droid cam is going to be our portable, mobile, incident capturing device because it's so small and light, and that's what we'll do. So now that we've said that, we can now see in the bottom of the life cam view, our enforcer is looking at that marauder on the bridge, and that's not a good situation. Now, obviously, what happens here? The player, the attacker, says, "Is there any way I can get help on that enforcer? Can I get someone to diminish his ability over there?" Well, yeah, there is a possibility that that Griffin, who is apparently the only one here with any, well, the Challenger is a heavy mech, and that is just to the right of our sphere, our landing craft, the dropship. He has a armful of missiles, and they are, but they are medium range as well. They're not short range, right? And we do make a distinction here, right? In other words, short range is heavy, long range is light or medium, and in this case, probably never going to have light, unless it's specified in the specs for a mech that has a pod of 20. I can't believe that it'd be possible for those to be heavy rockets, in other words, SRMs, short-range missiles. Well, I know they call them missiles, all right. But we have to assume that the bigger the pack, the lighter the missile. So an SRM-6 is heavy, maybe even very heavy, right? Could be. And SRM-10 to 15 or something like that would be medium. Or heavy. An SRM greater than 15, an LRM specification greater than 15 would be light or medium, and we might as well just say medium weight. They're medium weight rockets. And remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, none of these are guided. None of these missiles are guided. They simply fire to their and travel to their target in their trajectory to the best of their ability until they hit something, which is why we die roll to see how many of those rockets actually hit the target, and then how many of them actually do damage if it's a lower class than the weight class of the target. So it's that simple. So back to our question, can anybody bring some pressure to bear on that enforcer? And I suppose it would be an indirect shot. There's no direct fire for those rockets. It would be indirect, and that would be even worse because it has to shoot over those forest hexes to get to that enforcer. So we can try it is just like we do in Hex Command Mechanized. It's indirect fire, which means you have a spotter who's watching the rockets or the target or the missiles go to the target and correct the shot. But for us, the spotter simply says, "Okay, I'm seeing the spot we want to shoot at," and that's it. So the firing thing gets it on their grid coordinates, right, in their computer or whatever, their visual device they're using, and they go, "Okay, well, according to the so-and-so, this is where the target is, so let's give it a shot." So without being able to see it, they get the right azimuth and everything to the weapon, and then they just let her go. They fire them. And in our case, that Challenger is going to basically torso twist in the direction of that enforcer, which means he's not going to move now, or in his turn, he's not going to be moving. He's going to stay stationary and probably keep firing those rockets until something happens. The rockets in the Challenger are heavy, so they do have the range to get there, but because of the small amount of pack, we just said that they are heavy, so SRM-10 or whatever. So there are heavy rockets going in, and there's 10 of them, and they're going to go in and hit or try to hit that enforcer. Now, how does that work? It's just like a shot fall procedure, indirect fire. A 5 or a 6 hits the center, and all the other, and if you miss, then you roll to see where around that hex the shots have landed. And would it be all the shots? Yes, unfortunately. Just like a high explosive indirect fire, for hex command mechanized, all the rockets hit one hex, and which is why it's dangerous for anything to be in the neighbor hex of another thing, because you'll hit that instead. So what we'll do is we'll roll a 5 or a 6 on a d6, and then if we get that, then it hits the hex. If it doesn't, we'll radiate around to see where the shot falls, but obviously it's not going to do any damage to anything around it. So if we don't roll 5, 6, we won't bother rolling for the effectiveness of the shot. So let's go ahead and do that. And we missed. So if we were to roll around, so we rolled a 1, and now what we're going to do is roll, just to demonstrate how that works, we're going to roll around to see. So 1, so in the trajectory of the firer, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3 shots land right, right there. All right, so the indirect fire scored nothing. And were there any other modifications that could have made that more possible? No, not that I can see. Yeah, there's nothing else that would have made it more possible. No other modifiers I can see for combat. No possibility of any combat here. It's possible his SRM 6-pack. I don't know. I think I would have to say no, but I don't know by looking at that if that would be possible. We have to assume that the visual is not entirely accurate here, or we could say it is accurate. And so therefore, let's assume that these trees are all the same height as the tallest mech. So the trees are that high. So he can't even see that thing. He knows it's there. It's a blip. And, oh well, can he see it? Can he spot it? No, he can't either. He knows there's a blip there. Okay, there's a blip on the radar, but he can't visually see it. Well, the gun turret can, because it's higher up. So the gun turret can say, yeah, go ahead and take your indirect fire shot there. Let's just try it. That's a heavy rockets loadout, so let's try it. No, he missed. So we'll go around it. Doesn't do anything. Hits nothing else. So his heavy rockets launched and then nothing got hit. So let's take the gun turret. 1, 2, 3, 4 automatic. 1, 2, 3, 4 color. 1, 2, 3, 4 code. Any other modifier? Well, he's not moving. That goes back to color. Steady gun goes back to automatic. The gun has 2 hits on it. So back to color and then back to code. So it looks like we're taking one shot at code heavy. And he got it. Red is code. So he has scored a hit on that mech, and that's heavy to heavy. So 1 die damage. And it is a no surprise movement hit. That might be the third. Oh no, it's the first hit. Okay. First hit of movement on that Marauder. Interesting. And then that's where we're at for the end of the defender's movement into the game. Now the attacker will. Should we roll for initiative? But the truth of the matter is, this Marauder probably won't move. So they did succeed in stopping him from moving. And because of that, the Griffin, you know what? I correct myself. Maybe we should roll for initiative because we're not sure if this is going to diminish the attacker's enthusiasm. Let's roll for initiative. And the values are 6s. Actually, we need a 10-sided die. Okay, defender. 6, better than a 6. Yes. Attacker, better than a 6. Yes. Defender, better than a 6. No. Attacker, better than a 6. Nope. Defender. Yep. Attacker. Nope. Defender wins initiative. Okay, that's an interesting turn of events. We'll come back and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, we are back with the third turn. In summary, the first turn was the spherical dropship landing and the mechs coming out. The second turn, well, there was some exchange of fire, whatever there was, between the Hoth gun turrets and so on. And one of them was destroyed. The other one is still operational, firing from the fort outwardly, and it has hit the Marauder, which is on the bridge. And the second turn saw the entry of the Defender forces. Is that a Valkyrie? Did I say it was a Valkyrie? I believe it's a Valkyrie. On the bridge now by the fort, and the Enforcer Cav mech that's down at the bottom of the screen on top right hand corner. The life cam shows coming in right there. So we are now going to pick up the Defender, has won the initiative, and he's going to mark orders. And his orders will be that the mech on the bridge is not going to move. And as a matter of fact, now the Enforcer might, let's see if we can decide if he should move. He'll be moving 3 because he gets a benefit for being on the road. He's a heavy mech, and so he moves 2 normally, but on the road gives him a bonus. And he'll move 3. And that gives him really close into the Marauder, and that's going to be hazardous for them. And that is going to be, I don't know. Well, that's the reason we're here, because if that Marauder doesn't move, the forest hex that's still in the way is still going to be problematic for the Enforcer to fire. So let's just have a look at that right now. Here's our Enforcer, and he's going to move. Let's mark him as moved, and so therefore, in the sequence and play here, the non-phasing player is going to fire first, which would be the Marauder firing. The Griffin back here is going to take his rockets again on the gun turret and probably destroy it. It's already had 2 hits on it, and it's got 2 gun hits on it. So probably the next volley will destroy it, but we'll see. And so here we're going to move up here, and he's not going to move. And then we'll do the marking orders and so on for the attacker. So let's just take that. Griffin, we don't even know if he's going to move yet, but the fact is The non-phasing player gets to shoot, and we'll just do that as we did before. So it's a question of, again, simply rolling to see how many projectiles hit the target, and it's a 10 shot, so it's just a simple die roll, and that is half of the rounds. That's a code roll, so half the rounds have hit, and now because it is a what did I say, medium to heavy, it's going to be five rolls to see if damage is actually caused. And we're looking for code, which is red. And if anybody's wondering, yes, these are foam dice. So 3 rockets hit. Now the type of damage, it's either red or blue for combat or structure. Red is the combat. And it looks like they're all blue hits. So that gun is definitely kaplooey. Kaplooey. So that explodes in a hail of disastrous badness. And so we will get our little decorative smoke out here and kaboom it. So yeah, this is part of the fun right here because, you know, wow, that's really colorful explosion and so on. We have some, you know, fiber fill and wool that we've obtained. So that thing, take these away, and he's gone. So that's kaboom, right? Death and destruction. So that really exploded horribly. Did it get a chance to fire? I skipped it. It does get a chance because it is in fact also a steady gun. It's not moving, so on and so forth. So yes, it gets to fire at the same time. So that's a heavy with 2 hits on it, firing to a heavy mech. So basically it's like as if it was a very light weapon. But what we'll do is we'll just take a roll, and I believe it was a so the range was automatic, color, code, steady gun, back to automatic, not moving, automatic again, but it's got 2 hits, so again, it's just like it was before, code. So I need red, and we'll call that a hit. All right, now, what kind of damage? Again, is it movement, combat, or a structure? So, in other words, the armor weight. And that is a combat hit. I rolled a CNC, so its movement is blue. I'm sorry, that is a combat hit. The code is structure. So in this case, it's armor. So that is a combat hit. And as you remember, we enable several hits before they actually do cause a penalty. And we could modify that, right? You could just say, hey, why bother with having that much of a roster? Just give it a hit. So, but then in that case, things could end very quickly, and the game would be over very quickly, and that's not exactly... So we want to give it a chance. So the one hit is caused, and I believe we have said this before, the Marauder has, or heavies can take 2 hits before they actually cause a loss in combat value. So that is that for that Hoth gun turret. Then it gets hit, blows up. The Marauder is going to fire. It has no rockets. Yeah, so it basically, what we did there earlier, just before in this turn, was we fired the rockets from the Griffin. This is going to be the big ass gun from the Marauder because we didn't know those rockets were going to be effective. So we said this guy's going to fire there, this guy's going to fire here, and so on. So the defender, or the non-phasing, picks targets. We just skip that, of course. There's a lot of skipping that goes around here. We just have to remember what we're talking about in these kinds of demos. So we'll assume he was going to shoot there because no other target presents. And as far as I understand, that is a heavy gun. And so that is a ranged weapon. It is not a beam or energy weapon. So 1, 2, 3, 4 automatic, 1, 2, 3, 4 code, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll call it code and color, not moving, back to code. Small target. Really? Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It's technically a very small thing. So let's go C and C to see if that guy can hit that thing. It's just as part of the process. No. It's a 1 in 6 chance. Right? So he gets. Oh, is it 2 shots or 1? No, it's a heavy gun, so 1 shot. And well, you can do his PPCs. Let's take them as well. Oops, whoops, whoops. All right, the camera's not on. That was a GoPro I just knocked into. All right, so PPC up here, beam weapon and beam weapon. So essentially, a lot of things are coming at this guy. So let's roll both. And 1 did hit. And so structure or combat. And it is combat. So that created another hit. And the weapons that are underneath, what are those, medium lasers? He's capable of firing everything because he's not moving. His system value isn't being exceeded. 1, 2, 3, 4 items, 5 items. Well, it's being exceeded by 1 because I believe his system management value is a 5. He's exceeding it by 1. He hasn't moved. So is it? Let me just check the specs on the Marauder. All right, so he didn't exceed his system management because he's not moving. If he had moved, it would be a count against him. All right, so that's a foregone conclusion because that gun turret is destroyed. We said that the enforcer was moving, so let's do that. 1, 2, 3, and super close, but still can't get beyond this forest hex. Now, I don't remember the stats on the enforcer. I don't know if he has any missiles. I believe he does. So that, however, this situation is different. That is too close to arc over. In other words, we measure the distance to the obstruction, and it is 1, 2, 3, and then 1.5 out is the dead zone, and it looks to be exactly 1.5. If we call this hex 1, and half a hex is good enough. So therefore, it can't arc into that. Can't see anything else. Enforcer really doesn't have much chance here for targeting. So we can move on. Let's do now. So that was their moving, our firing. And again, see, here's the reason why you mark things that are firing. We're skipping over some of our process. Sorry, I just don't remember if we fired these guys or not. But again, here we see maybe this is the reason why, right? That's an obstruction. That forest is an obstruction, and that to arc those missiles into that area is not possible. The way we would do this is you count the distance, as in any case, anytime you do this, count the distance to the obstruction, and then half of that out is a dead zone. So if we were to do that, I cannot fire because the missiles simply don't have the capability of firing so close to that obstruction. If it was further out, then yes, it would still be indirect, but the dead zone is still there. You can't target it. So that's an interesting spot for that Marauder to be in. And now we'll move on to the non-phasing player's turn. So we said that the Marauder wasn't going to move. The champion, can he jump? Yes. What can he do? He can go. He's also not in a proper hex. He can go 1 jumping over 2, 3, or 2 to get right in front. to get right in front of the Marauder. So let's just demonstrate how that would happen. So moving 1, which is the minimum to jump, by the way, otherwise, unless you're just jumping straight up onto a cliff face or something, but moving 1 forward and then 2 would put him hypothetically right here. Okay, so the champion would be right there. Now this is a very interesting situation. Can you do multiple targeting? The answer is I can't say at this moment if that's possible. I'll have to research that because we haven't done this kind of thing enough to know for certain. Can you target 2 different things at once because of the fact these are sophisticated year 3000 or something, 25th century targeting and technology? I don't know, but I'll check it out. I think you can't because even in this era and these rules that are derived from Hex Command Mechanized, we don't do that. Is that true? The M3 Lee has multiple weapons. That is not true. The M3 Lee can fire 2 different targets. Its sponson-mounted gun can fire at 1 target because there's a gunner down there inside the M3 Lee. I know it's a sad tank, but okay, all right. And it was able to fire the 75 while the 37 millimeter fired elsewhere. So yeah, you know what? It is possible, but in this case, there's only 1 pilot. Now, do we have an answer as to whether or not he can say, okay, let's fire this over there and this over there, right? All in the same term? I don't know. I'll have to research it. My guess is not. You select a target and then you have to fire at that target. So let's just default to that. These have already fired. I should say the Enforcer has not. And now this guy presents himself extremely close. And he's basically, let's look at it this way. In the demonstration, he's committing suicide. He is going to be able to fire. He will be able to fire here or here. But probably the closest danger is this Enforcer. So we could take that combat, and then this combat will happen, and he'll fire, of course, because he's moving, and he's moving. So now it's a question of they're both firing simultaneously. He, however, is not moving. So when he gets to there, this non-moving vehicle, the Valkyrie, is going to take a shot. And it's pretty much, not moving. So it means like basically automatic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Because of the benefit, the bonus. It's like counting automatic twice. If you want to see it and how it works exactly, 1, 2, we need to count this X. 1, 2, 3, 4 automatic, 1, 2, 3, 4 color, not moving, automatic, but he is moving. So you see how it works? If he wasn't moving, then the benefit would be there. But he is moving. It's a moving target. So back to color, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, automatic, 1, 2, 3, 4, color. Code, because he's moving. Any other mods? Looks like code for his main weapon. So we're looking for red, no other mods. And we missed with our main weapon, which was a beam weapon. Let's take his missile pack. They're heavies. How many? Only 10%, or I should say only a quarter, not 10%. So it's half, 75, I'm sorry, half, full, or quarter. So only 3 of the rockets hit that heavy target. It's heavy to heavy. I'm sorry, they don't need to do that. Heavy to heavy is a 3 hit straight up. Could have been a lot worse. So let's roll for the types of damage. And we have a defense hit, and a movement hit. So movement and 2 defense hits on the champion. Uh, so simultaneous fire will take this champion to the enforcer, two heavy, one heavy, and the rockets. So let's do, you know something? This is actually in the way, isn't it? Partial obscurity to the right arm. Let's do it, but give it a -1. So instead of being automatic, moving, color, partial code, another modifier. Let's take that one, looking for code. So looking for red. And we got it with our beam weapon. And he'll take his left arm rockets. I believe there's 6. How many of them? Well, wait, before we do that, let's go to the damage. So it's movement. Oh, and by the way, again, forgot the half distance. There we go. The half distance bonus. We're so close. And now we'll do the rockets. The quantity is half. So 3 hits of heavy. Defense hit, 2 of them. And a combat hit. So boom, boom, boom. No other mods. Let's do the enforcers firing. Those magnetic cannons are heavy. 2 of them automatic hits. Bonus for the short range. Still automatic. Moving target. And firer, by the way. So that's a penalty. So both of them look like, see, it would be automatic and color because they're both moving. Well, one's moving. At least one is moving. So it looks like color for both those weapons. Forget about the rockets for now. We'll do the magnetic cannons first. Looks like color. Don't see any other mod. 1 hit. Heavy to heavy. Type of hit is a defense hit. And that guy is going to bring down that mech to a medium mech. It has suffered 3 defense hits. And let's do its rockets. See, I forget this loadout on this guy. He's got 2 packs. Oh boy. Jesus, are those 10 each? Holy smokes. I think they're 10 each. Well, no, it's missiles. Yeah. So 20. Let's go for both of them. Can you do that? Can you combine, or should you keep it separate? 10 and 10. Let's do 10 and 10. How many hit? All of them. The next volley. Only a quarter. So 10 on the first. Look at this. That's a huge amount of damage. And are they mediums? Or are they heavy rockets? I think they are mediums. 10 hits. 2, 4, 6, 7. Let's do 2, 4, 5 at a time. We're looking for color. Only 2. And the next 10 pack. I'm sorry, that was the first 10. So full. Rolling for, again, 5 more. 1, 2, 3. Wow. And then for the 1/4 hits, which is 3. So that is a combat hit plus a movement hit. So our champion has taken 5 defense hits. That basically explodes it. There is no way it can tolerate more hits than that. It is gone. We're not even gonna. In this case, we don't even consider what elements, what components have been damaged. It's just completely wiped out. And so that explodes. Horrible visionary thing to see on the battlefield. Absolutely pummeled, because that was a very good die roll for one thing. So the medium rockets definitely got lucky hitting that heavy target, and it is gone. Wow. Okay, so there we are with that demonstration. I think that's enough for us to be satisfied. I don't think, certainly you can comment if you have any. You can see how you just generally get the idea how this works. Obviously we're making some mistakes, we always do, but this demonstration kind of shows the progression of things and how the extent of damage is piling up, and we allow a certain degree of damage before it's actually going to count to the object. Like, in other words, there were defense hits, right? There's 1, and then there's 2, and then on the 3rd defense hit, then it suffers, and it goes down to from whatever class it is, down 1. And then all the subsequent hits make it go down even further. So there is some time to an object to survive. And remember, there's also the fact that we're really close. The chances of missing here are very slim. And the damage, we could do that as well. Close range damage, definitely, but we don't have that as yet. It's not important. A 88 millimeter anti-tank gun hits at short range. It'll penetrate more, but the chances of it hitting are just, well, okay, that's not true. An 88 millimeter anti-tank gun firing at extremely close range is going to hit, and it's going to penetrate, and it's going to kill. So let's put it that way. All right, so that's it. And with that, you could almost say the attacker, it might be repulsed here. Unless he has more inside that dropship, losing 1 mech, facing 2, is a question. He may not be able to survive this without more reinforcements. So that's it for the test. The situation here is extraordinary, with a mech that has jumped into a clearing or a space between 2 obstacles and opening itself up to fire from 2 different things. Maybe, yes, you could say that was a dumb move, Terry. Well, you know what? That's why we're here, testing these ideas. So there we are.